You are watching the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe, your escape to reality.
Hey everyone. Yep, Happy New Year.
Hey.
Hey. What's up, Steve? What's up, Jay?
What's up, guys? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy new score, as I've been telling people.
Ian, I'm hearing myself delayed.
I'm going to mute myself. Maybe that's me.
Nope.
Hey guys.
Bob.
Oh, hey, Bob.
Whew. Wow.
Okay, talk amongst yourselves while Ian troubleshoots my my audio.
So I've been saying happy new score and reminding people that a score is 20 years. And, you know, for a lot of people, maybe under the age of 30, it's a antiquated term, perhaps.
Sure.
So perhaps they walked away learning something.
What was the context?
Happy new score.
So what is it? Is that a marker board behind you or a TV?
Yes. So, you know, Jay, I realized, you know, they have these things called computers now.
Yeah.
And what you can do instead of having like a whiteboard with whiteboard markers is you can actually draw things and put them up on a screen.
You drew that is what you're saying.
Well, I'm not saying I drew this one in particular. This is actually a puzzle I found online.
Okay.
But it was fine for this purpose, and I didn't need to redraw it, and there it is. So I am going high tech for 2021. One of my many, many resolutions that I'll be coming up with as I think of them over the course of the next few days. Is that goodbye whiteboard, hello computer monitor.
Yep.
Which was otherwise sitting around not doing anything, so I put it to good use.
So first off, you know, we had Bob and Steve were over my house last night. You know, Steve had a social distance to a degree, but we're having New Year's Eve, and it occurred to me that I really just flat out don't like New Year's Eve. It does nothing for me. You know what I mean? Like, if anything, it's typically a sad moment. It's not like fun for me. What do you guys feel about it?
Well, let me check my audio. Yep, it seems to be working. Thanks, Ian. It all depends on what you do. I mean, I don't like a traditional New Year's Eve celebration where you're partying until after midnight. Mm-hmm. Just partly because it's hard for me to stay up that late. But yeah, whatever. If you're just hanging out doing fun stuff until midnight, then
I had fun, Jay. I had fun last night.
I had
Me,
fun too, but do you feel like you ever want to get dressed up and go out and make a big deal of it and all that?
every time we've tried it, it pretty much failed utterly. So
Right. That's how I feel.
No, some of the best parties though we've had were things where we've run events or put together, LARPs or murder mysteries and those kinds of things. Made a game out of the evening. People show up in costumes, playing roles, whatever, having to figure a bunch of things out. Those have been the absolute best New Year's Eves that we've
Good.
had.
Yeah.
getting a lot of messages about the video being frozen, guys.
Audio too.
Yeah, you're right. The video is frozen. But hold on. I will fix that. Oh, did it get minimized?
What's happening?
What's happening?
I don't even know if they can hear us.
Hold on.
Audio's fine.
I think
Okay.
the audio's fine, but just the video is being.
Let's see.
Yeah,
Hold
I'm
on.
Oh.
What's
For some
happening?
reason it changed. Did
I don't
Zoom
remember
just
what that's
update? Zoom, you bastard.
I don't know.
Yeah, they're saying the
Uh-oh.
audio's fine. Steve looks like he's about to sneeze.
It's a Y2K plus 20 problem.
Somebody take a
21.
screenshot of that for me.
Oh, here we go. We're back. Oh no, that's
Oh,
just the
thank
Zoom.
goodness.
Zoom. We're moving on Zoom, just not in OBS.
Well.
Well, it's moving per viewer, so I'll
It
fix
said,
it.
so somebody
Keep
said it
going.
looks good now. It looked like it went to very low bandwidth.
Yeah, it's zoomed in.
Um,
No pun.
so
intended.
are you guys seeing regular video now? Is everything cool?
No, it's still not. It's still just one of us at a time. Oh, it was there for
There,
a
it's
second.
better.
There we go.
It's better.
It's back.
We're good.
Okay.
All right. Couple of
Continue.
technical snafus to start out
See
the
that?
year. Usually
Yeah.
we're pretty clean on these streams.
As soon
Um,
as you turn your back, the gremlins come in and they just turn knobs.
Brady Bunch.
So anyway, we were talking about whether or not you like New Year's Eve. I'm curious to see what those of you who are watching this, do you just give like a yes or a no if you enjoy New Year's Eve as an event?
Someone asked me to move. I'm moving.
I'm moving too.
Say that
But
again, Jay.
I just want to hear what the audience has to say. I'm curious to see if there's a trend. Do most people like it or not? It's coming in with
Odd nose. Meh.
mostly no's,
Odd nose. Some yeses. Definitely yes.
mez, and yeah. I mean, it looks like an even mix. I guess it's just us.
But yeah, we held a couple of fun New Year's Eve parties. Again, it all depends on what we do. Yeah, the murder mystery things that Evan and I put together a few times, I thought were a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, those were cool. Those
A
were
lot of
definitely
fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
We
But they
did
don't.
one-
You don't have to do those on New Year's Eve. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. You know what I mean? Like the New Year's Eve part of it and what you're doing. I guess the only thing is that everyone has it off and is ready to do something.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah, we typically have a pretty large crowd of all of our close friends, and there's lots of game playing and custom quizzes and all that. So, I mean, I typically enjoy that. But as a holiday, it doesn't bring anything. It's just a party. It doesn't really mean much emotionally, other than just feeling a little sentimental about, another year gone by.
Mm-hmm.
So, Evan, how was your holiday season?
It was quiet and relaxing for the most part. Although I did have, a good amount of work to do, and I had to finish my coursework for my certification. But I did all that, and we quarantined. It was me, my wife, my daughter,
Yeah.
and Jennifer's sister, who lives down the street from us now, and she's part of our quarantine
Bubble.
circle. Yeah, but
Cool.
that's it. Just the four of us. I had to call my mom, call my sisters, called you guys, called Kara. Just had to do a lot of phone calls and alternate methods of communicating with people to wish them happy holidays.
Yep.
So, but it was fine. Got through it.
You want to talk about what's going to happen in 2021?
What's going to happen in 2021? What are you talking about? I just wanted to, before we do that, Steve, I wanted to say one thing.
Yeah.
So a listener of the show who, Keith Davies, he built us a Star Trek prop for the SGU set, right? It was like one of the things that went on the wall that kind of looks like an engineering thing. You go up to it and the guys in Star Trek will be like pretending to use like some type of wacky wrench on it or whatever. But it's one of my favorite things. It's very iconic. And he made it, and he was able to duplicate the pictures I sent him perfectly. I painted it and looks great. So he and I started to chit chat with each other and started to become friendly with each other. And I said to him straight up, I'm like, hey, I want to get a gaming table, and that snowballed into him building. So I decided I'm going to buy my wife a custom gaming table that I would save up some money for and get something that'll last a very long time. So he and I did a lot of talking about the wood and all this stuff. So 2 years later, because of him being, busy and, lots of, circumstances that aren't really relevant, but 2 years after we started the project, he shipped it to me, and Courtney and I were able to put it, get it all set up in our house. And it's made of black walnut wood, and it's just gorgeous. It's unbelievable, the job that he did. He wired it. So I told him I wanted to be able to plug in my laptop when I'm at the table. So he just, we tried to figure out how would we do this, whatever. And it turns out each leg of the table has plugs, so you can charge your cell phone or charge your, plug a computer in, whatever, which is awesome. It has a sunken middle. So if I pull up the leaves, the center of the table is sunken. And I got to say, it was an incredibly fun thing to do. And he did such an amazing job. It's the best piece of furniture I own. And it really is something that my wife and I will use, all the time.
You have a picture, Jay?
I could send Ian a picture. Yeah. But I'm just thrilled about it. I just wanted to share that, some of the best gifts I've ever given to people were things that, I really custom something 100% custom for that person. I think those are the best gifts.
Yeah, we played on it last night. It's, the fact that it's recessed is really helpful because it gives you a much better perspective on the game board. It's not at this level where you're looking across it. It's down enough that you're looking down on it a little bit more, and that really actually can make a big difference. Yeah,
it was only a 6-inch drop. But the other cool thing about that is it lets you leave the thing there. You just put the leaves on top of it.
Yeah.
And the game is there, or the jigsaw puzzle, or if you're playing D&D and you're using figures, they're still there. Nothing has to move. You just,
right.
If anything, you're securing them to keep it away from the kids or whatever. Very, very cool. And I wanted to thank Keith. I don't know if he's listening, but he and his wife helped him, which is so cool. I really should get this thing and show it to you, but she made a cup holder that goes on the side when you take the leaves off. And it's basically like a medieval castle that 2 cups can fit into. Oh my God, it's just so cool. I didn't even know she was going to do it. She just did it for fun.
All right. So you want to talk about what's going to happen in 2021?
Yeah. So how do you know what's going to happen? What are you talking
about?
Yeah,
I mean, wait, why should we even listen to you? Because I remember last year you said, what's going to happen in 2020, and you missed a lot of shit. So
yeah, some pretty important things too.
Actually, I think, as you will see tomorrow on tomorrow's show, I think my predictions were the most accurate. But these are not predictions; these are scheduled things.
Planned of that's different.
Okay.
Okay.
Things that are scheduled specifically with space launches. There's a lot happening in 2021.
James Webb.
James Webb is going up.
We'll get there.
That's fine. We can start with James Webb is going up.
Finally.
Finally. I mean, it's not until it actually goes. We can't say for sure. But that is planned to go up in 2021.
But how long have we been talking about the James Webb project? For a decade?
Weeks. Oh yeah, maybe.
It's going to be positioned 1.5 million kilometers from Earth. It's going to be far enough away that it could have unobstructed views in infrared. It's going to be a tremendous instrument, just tremendous. Essentially the successor to the Hubble, but it's going to be much more capable than the Hubble. Hubble, I think, is going to be 31 years. In this year.
30 or 31.
Still cranking out images. We really got our money's worth off of that. There are 3 missions to Mars.
3
probe missions.
Well, yes.
Yeah, not person missions.
No people. Yeah.
One from the U.S., one from China, one from the United Arab Emirates. Again.
I know, that's interesting.
Dipping their toe in. They're not going to land. They're just going to go into orbit and measure the atmosphere. The U.S. probe is landing in February. The Chinese probe will get there in February, and it'll drop a lander at some point, to be determined. Let's see what else is going to be. A lot of more Starship launches. They're going to do another. How they did the prototype 8, where it did the belly flop maneuver and then landed, and everything was perfect. right up until the point where it exploded on impact.
Minor detail.
Yeah, so they're going to do another one of those, but hopefully without the explosion at the end.
But you know, I was thinking about that, Steve.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good that like the stress test of this thing, you know, susses out or, you know, kind of reveals these errors that they've made. Because let's say just by weird coincidence, it landed okay, even though it had that problem.
Mm-hmm.
You know, then they wouldn't know about it. Like that's kind of what Elon
No, that's
Musk
sort of
was
the
saying.
engineering way. I once had, this is a funny little anecdote.
Part of the new way.
It's all part of the new way. The worst, it's challenging when you have patients who think they know what they're talking about, but they don't.
Mm-hmm.
And so oftentimes that's people in healthcare, but not in the specialty relevant to the problem that you're treating. Or even worse, when they are other scientists, but not medical experts. Or they're researchers, but not clinicians. You know, so they're applying a different set of logic to a clinical context, and they don't get it. They don't get that you can't just do that. You can't just, you know, it doesn't translate. And so the thing in my personal anecdote that sticks out to me that perfectly represents why you can't do that was the husband of a patient that I was treating, and he was an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And he said at one point, like he really was kibitzing a lot, but the one thing that stuck out to me was like, I'm an engineer. And, you know, in engineering, we test things, we push them until they break. And like, yeah, we don't do that in medicine. You know,
Yeah, you better not.
we're not going to push things until they break. You know, that's not how we figure things out. We follow a completely different set of logic in the clinical setting. You know, the risk versus benefit. Like they want to know, why aren't we doing more? Why aren't we doing more? It's like everything is risk versus benefit. We don't do it until it breaks, then we know. But when you're launching spaceships, you do, right? You do push things until they break, and that's exactly how you know what their tolerance is. In fact, that's a test, right? Don't they do that?
Of course.
We put it in the whatever test where we said how many pounds per square inch or whatever would it take to break it. They deliberately break things to see where the breaking point is. We don't do that to patients now. But anyway, some new rockets that will be launching. The Space Launch System is supposed to have its first launch this year. That's the system that NASA is going to use in the Artemis program to get back to the moon. So that'll be
It's
critical.
supposed to be a really, really powerful rockets.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah. These are extremely powerful.
Okay, that's the table. Like everybody can see that.
Yeah. That's the table.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
it. With
let's
the
see
leaves
this. Okay,
off,
hold on.
that's when we just got it in the house, and the leaves are off, so you can see the sunken center.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, I love it! I love
Craps
it.
table. Boom.
It was so much fun playing last night at the table. Like we used it for the first time, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so awesome!"
The right tool for the right job.
That's right, brother. You know it, man.
Somebody in the chat in response to what I said brought up a stress test. I guess that is an exception to that general rule, but that's what a cardiac stress test is. They literally do push you to a certain limit, but they don't push you to the breaking point. Essentially what they do is they will put you on a treadmill and they'll exercise you to certain parameters and see if you develop any early signs of cardiac ischemia when you get pushed. If you can't physically exercise, then they can induce stress pharmacologically. But they're not pushing you until you die, right? Or until you have a heart attack. They're just pushing you to see if you develop like early signs on an EKG that you might be having some ischemia. So we do a lot of tests. We do some what's called provocative tests in medicine, provocative diagnostics, when you're trying to provoke a response. And you could either be provoking to see if you elicit a normal response versus a less than or no response. But sometimes you could do it to see if you provoke a pathological response. But so there are lots of tests like that. Like in neurology, we do what's called a tensilon test, where we give patients medication to see if it reverses their myasthenia gravis, but it's possible it could exacerbate their, if they have a cholinergic crisis, it could actually make them worse. But you have to be ready to react to what you're provoking. You know what I mean? Like you're monitoring them so that if you start to go get early signs that they're getting a bad response, you could immediately abort the test and reverse whatever you did and make sure and do whatever you need to do to protect the patient. And it still comes down to risk versus benefit. The information has got to be worth the risk of doing the test.
Of course.
But still, it's a complete, a very different context.
But with engineering, like with any product that you've purchased, for the most part, at some point they took it and they figured out how much weight the thing can bear, or how many times the hinge will work, or how many times, can you buckle the seatbelt? Like that's all standard. That's built into the engineering process.
Right. Engineers are always fun because, they are the experts, I think, whose logic is the most different from medicine, in my experience. And so they have the hardest time, I think, translating their expertise to thinking clinically. Anyway, whatever.
Somebody in the chat said, when they're on the treadmill, does someone make the $6 million man noises? The answer for me is every once in a while it pops into my head, and I do like the da 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 da. I've done that. I've done that many times.
The Vera Rubin Observatory should open in 2021.
That's cool.
Nice.
Based.
Somebody said, Jay, a ton of consumer products are not engineered. Well, I mean, that's an interesting thing to say because, like, as an example, like I have a little Pelican case here that holds SD cards, right? Of course, it had to be engineered to do its basic function to hold SD cards, right? It's a weird way. When you say a lot of things that we buy aren't engineered, like what are you talking about? Fruits and vegetables, because they're actually engineered too. I'm not sure.
No, I think what they're saying, this is about how I interpreted that. In other words, they may be designed,
but not tested.
But they weren't engineered, meaning that somebody did the calculations to know like what the stress would be on the hinge and the material used and all of that. So they might have just used they built it and it worked sort of, so they went with it rather than being engineered so that.
Okay,
it has specific. It has specific properties, specific tolerances, and they know that, how it's going to function. And you could tell that because there are things that are put together like shit. Nobody crunched the numbers. It's like building a bridge, gestalt, without running the numbers to know exactly what the tolerances are going to be. You could do it, and you might get away with it for a small bridge, but I wouldn't do it on any huge project.
Yeah. So Bob, remember that little light? So there was like a little lamppost that goes with like a Christmas village thing that somebody bought my son, and the wires that fed electricity to the little lamppost were so unbelievably thin and frail that it broke in seconds from opening it. The thing broke.
Stinks.
So Bob's like, let me take it home and I'll make it real, make it strong and all that. But I'm like,
why would they just? Of course, a Grinch Santa Claus. Take the Christmas light home to my dad. Jay, I think I left it. I don't think I ever took it home. I think I left it in your kitchen.
You did. You forgot to. But my point is that, they're shaving pennies off to save money about the gauge of a wire that's like 1/8 of a millimeter. You know what I mean? The thing was already so unbelievably small. How much more could it possibly cost to make it a tiny bit bigger, a little bit stronger, But it matters because it saves money.
Mm-hmm.
Just not to us. I like things that last forever. Like, Steve got me a really awesome chef knife, a kitchen knife for cutting fruits and vegetables, whatever. You can do tons of things with it. I'm going to have it forever. I love that. I hate throwaway consumerism.
Did you know that blades are engineered? Again, it's I'm into blade recently. I mean, I have been for a long time, but I'm recently doing sort of a deep dive into it again, and not just watching the TV show, but also like just reading a lot of articles about it. It's amazing, like how deep you could go on any topic, no matter how narrow. There is so much engineering behind the design of a blade based upon how you're going to use it. And it's one of those things where, like you could just you could not engineer it and just make it so that it has an edge and whatever, and it's still certainly going to function as a knife. But if you really want to optimize it, there's so many variables that you wouldn't even think about, like the cross-sectional geometry, for example, and the way the edge is designed, a hollow grind versus like a diamond grind, or a flat grind, and then the way you engineer a point into it, like how thick is it versus like you want this to do chop or slice or stab, or do you want it serrated or not serrated, and also to make sure that there's no stress points in the blade. So that's I got that.
Is that
Blades?
Bob?
It's a blade Steve got me.
Yeah, it's Damascus. I could show you guys mine. I got at the same time, Bob. I got this one for myself. So this is the Kukri design. So I say, so this blade is engineered for chopping because it has, it flares towards the tip. It's very front heavy and it's thicker towards the edge, and this is a classic sort of chopping design.
Wood though, not for the kitchen. That's for wood.
This is not a kitchen knife. No, this could either be used as a weapon or as like a machete. And then Bob's knife, I don't know if you guys recognize that is a classic Bowie knife design, which is sort of an all-purpose woodsman's knife. So you can see like it has a drop point, which is made for stabbing. It also has an edge that's made for like skinning animals. Sometimes like if you want to make it into like an all-purpose knife, you could put serrations on the back.
It's +1 against goblins.
Yeah,
that weakens it, right?
It can if you don't do it just right. So yeah, if you don't engineer the blade correctly, the other thing you could do is you have to like where when you put it under stress, where is the stress going to go? And if there's any hot points where the stress will sort of focus on that one point, that's where the blade will break. Right. So like for example, there's no right angles on a blade. Right. Everything has to be a smooth curve transition. Because if you put it in a right angle, it's going to snap there.
It's a weak point. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weak point.
Wait, Simon just said there's a new Doctor Who episode on.
Oh, really?
Holy crap! All right, let's end.
Oh, yeah, well, they usually have their Christmas their quote unquote
close
Christmas
this quick. Liz, new Doctor Who. All right, tonight.
How do you like the new Doctor, Bob?
Oh, she's great. I love her.
She's fantastic.
She's fantastic. No complaints at all. I mean, still
a great vibe for the Doctor.
Yeah, I mean, Tennant's still my favorite, but she's fantastic.
What's interesting about the character of the Doctor is that they're comical and serious at the same time, and they have to be able to sort of float back and forth almost instantly. You know what I mean? Tennant did that very well. Tennant could have a lot of gravitas and a lot of seriousness, but also could be very jovial and jokey and not take everything seriously. Like he's kind of above it all. You know what I mean? Like the Doctor is not... like he has a perspective on the universe and life and everything that we don't have. So he seems very humorous and lighthearted and jovial, but then he gets very serious at times. And not all of the Doctors pulled that off. I think that Tennant did very, very well. They all do to some degree. The one modern Doctor that I think pulled that off the least was the one before Tennant, who is Eccleston. Right? Eccleston. I don't know. He was too towards the jokey end of the spectrum. And it was hard to take him seriously, so he didn't have the gravitas that Tennant, for example, did. Matt Smith was fine.
Could they ever bring the same actor back to play the Doctor again?
They could do whatever they want. Right? That's the bottom line. They obviously changed the rules so that, the first, whatever it was, 12 Doctors were all male. Then suddenly it's female. Why? Because it can. That can happen.
It canon just spews from their fingertips. Whatever they write is canon.
Doesn't matter. Okay.
The previous Doctor, and I'm forgetting the actor's name, Peter Capaldi. So Peter Capaldi played another character on Doctor Who.
Yes.
In one
Rome.
episode.
Ancient Rome, right?
In Ancient Rome. And when he became the Doctor, they didn't ignore that. They referenced it. They mentioned it. So he actually had the face of that person, and it became a plot point because they wanted to use Peter Capaldi, and they had to retcon it.
Yeah, they had to retcon it. Yeah.
So the thing is, they could do whatever they want. They could find whatever actor. If David Tennant said, "I want to do another 2 years as the Doctor," they'd make it work. You know what I mean? Whatever. Cool. It could just go. Can you go back to a previous incarnation if they want them to? Absolutely. Absolutely.
So talking about the word retcon came up, and the day 2 days after Christmas we had a Star Wars day.
Yeah.
We watched Star Wars all day, and it was a load of fun.
We watched Rogue One and then episodes 4, 5, 6.
So when we were watching Rogue One, I was very harsh on that movie when it first came out. It is a good movie in my opinion. It's very good. And what I think, Bob, you said this and I've been thinking about it. Bob said that the movie is a profound level of retconning. It perfectly explains, bad writing
Rogue
from
One,
movie
yeah.
4. It plugs the plot holes. Like basically the big one, of course, is why was the Death Star so easy to destroy?
Yeah. That
And
was brilliant, actually. That was really
brilliant.
well done.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Excellent writing. My big and only complaint about the film was that I wish that the characters, I wish that I cared more about the characters, because my feelings are a little flat, so I don't really feel as much as I want to in the movie.
But these are characters that they knew that they were gonna perish. So how much are they gonna invest in in the time frame that they have for one movie for this particular story?
But Jay, don't forget, K2SO, I felt when he died, I took that death harder than any other character. So I
like those characters.
He was wonderful.
Yeah.
Evan, it's all directing. It's all directing. You can establish a connection to a character in seconds if the director knows what they're doing. If they're really expert.
The time is always there. I mean, today movies are 2.5 hours long.
Yeah.
They have the time, and I
they
really
totally have the time.
It's so much was done right in that movie, and I don't want to complain because it really is entertaining and it's great. But I just wish, like, I know some people haven't seen it, so I got to say this though, because it's been out for years now.
Yeah.
At the end, when two of the characters end up dying together, I wanted to feel it more, right? Because there were two characters in the film that they did have a great relationship, and when they died, there was a real feeling for it. But the other two characters, I'm like, I just didn't care, and you shouldn't feel that way, especially for your main characters. You really should be hurting when they die. But overall, my God, it was great. And I thought that when that movie came out, that was going to be the bottom bar for Star Wars movies. This was great, and they can only get better from here. And boy, was I wrong.
You're wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't have to go over this ground again. The 7, 8, 9 were shit, but Mandalorian has rescued the franchise.
Yeah.
And that is now, hopefully, Jay, that is now the floor for Star Wars.
Right. That's the new formula going forward.
Yeah. I continue to read, and everything I'm reading is on the money with who they have, how they're doing it, what their focus is. Like, they're getting rid of all the right people and they're bringing in all the right kinds of people. It's going to be good. We have 10 years of very well-written Star Wars ahead of us.
Mm-hmm. And apparently season 5 of The Expanse is out. I haven't watched any episodes yet.
Oh my God.
The Expanse is fantastic, hard science fiction. Love it. Yes, Star Wars is fantasy. Get over it. Who cares? It's great. It's entertaining. When it works, when it's good, it's great.
Yeah. It could be really bad. Just like anything.
Yeah.
I mean, Star Trek can be horrible when you
horrible.
see something horrible. Science fiction has to
City on the Edge of Forever and The Children Shall Lead. Both Star Wars, Star Trek, the original series.
Stepping off to Eden.
Yeah, brother.
That actor.
He was awesome, man. He was awesome.
He was in
this is memorable.
Blues Brothers.
The Blues Brothers without any fucking teeth.
Yeah.
Fucking teeth.
That was one of the best lines in that movie.
Oh my God.
I love it.
Okay. You could say there's Rogue One, and then there's the Star Wars A Christmas special.
Yeah,
right.
Those are some, distant ends of the spectrum.
Which has like 30-something million views on YouTube.
Of course it does, because it is so bad. Right. It becomes weird.
You almost do have to see it.
Are we talking about the Christmas special?
Really understand it.
Yeah.
To just understand how
bizarre world.
We should watch it. We should sit down and watch it, guys. I mean, I've seen snippets and I've read about it for years.
Oh, God.
Oh my gosh.
What were they?
It's like they started coming up with it like about 48 hours before it went on the air. That's how badly written it was. Anyway,
it probably was. I mean, it was just exploitative, I think.
Totally. To get it for Christmas and everything.
Hotter than anyone imagined. Let's throw together a Christmas special.
It's the same thing with the ET story, with ET the game for Atari. They had to get the ET game done in like what normally takes a year in 6 weeks, and they had to put a skin on it and throw it out there, and that's what bombed Atari.
Evan, I listened to the guy who made it wrote an article about it, and he explained
What
everything.
it are we talking about now?
The ET Atari game, why it was so bad, and it was all time. They these games usually take a lot longer than the 5.5 weeks that he had, and he was just unbelievably surprised that he finished something in that time, let alone did something good. He knew it was shit. But the pressure, the corporate pressure, the dollars behind it, pushing it, the cultural pressure in a way to get these products out so that people will watch it and ultimately, either buy the product. If it's a Star Wars Christmas special, go buy the kids the Star Wars stuff, or an ET game cartridge, no matter what it is. That's constant, and that does actually happen a lot. And the quality suffers. Yeah. As a result, more often than not, but it's about the buck and the season. Of course, man. Yeah, you have you have a $300 million movie coming out, and you want all of the swag ready by hook or by crook. It's got to be there to purchase. Like, look at The Child. There was no Child to be purchased for a year.
That was
The Mandalorian.
I hope somebody got fired over that, because that was a travesty of marketing. Like, I would have bought one last year. I would have bought it if it were good, and if it had the child's real expression and not a fake smile. Mm-hmm. I would have bought it, and I was looking for it. Never didn't find it. Like, somebody messed up here.
Mm-hmm. Even this year, there were any of the Grey Goo paraphernalia that I looked at was sold out. It was underproduced.
It's Grogu, Steve. Grey Goo is a wholly different.
That's a nanotech disaster.
Yeah. Grey Goo, Grogu.
We can talk about that later.
Grogu.
Oh my God!
It's all the same.
Guys, I just saw somebody said that there's a riff tracks for the Star Wars holiday special. We have to watch that. Oh my God!
That's a night right by itself, man.
Yeah, we have to do our own riff tracks. What should we do? The audience the listeners right now need to recommend to us.
Yeah.
And SGU riff tracks. What would we do? What would you want to see?
Give him a minute. Somebody just said that Cyberpunk 2077 had a horrible release. It did. It had a profoundly bad release. And
that couldn't have lived up to the hype. I mean, there was a commercial on every 30 seconds for that. I mean, the money they threw into the advertising for that was remarkable.
But straight up, it still wasn't done.
Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers would be fun, because there's good stuff in
it.
It's got a lot of good elements in it. I mean, it's ridiculous deliberately, though. It can't be deliberately.
I enjoyed Starship Troopers.
Yeah,
I hate to say it.
Me too.
Yes, it's a terrible movie, but there was something I enjoyed about watching that movie. It was definitely sci-fi.
You were watching us like a sci-fi comic book. Almost,
yeah.
And that's the feeling.
What I loved about, this was early days of CG, and of course the aliens were low-hanging fruit because they had like an exoskeleton.
Yeah.
So it was much harder to do that. I remember really enjoying it. So I guess it doesn't age well. I haven't seen it in literally 20 years, 15 years.
Yeah.
So maybe it doesn't age well, but
what movie I loved when it came out and
totally
didn't age well was Total Recall.
Oh yeah, terrible.
Terrible. I was shocked.
We loved that movie.
I was shocked.
I never fell in love with that movie from the get-go.
It was a fun movie. It was
Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was a
Get Your Ass to Mars. Yeah. We still quote that movie, but
I get it. It had its moments, but the
Quaid,
that whole thing was like, oh man,
but
really?
Evan, that whole Quaid thing is like it's become a meme
Painful.
All by itself. It's awesome.
I get that.
Start the reactor.
It's just.
So a bunch of people said the most obvious movie, Prometheus, needs to be torn apart with a riff track.
Yeah, we kind of did it in podcast format, but
but there's so many bad jokes inside that movie. Oh my God.
Running Man. Somebody mentioned Running Man. I'm sorry. I love Running Man, and I've watched it over the years. Still love it. It's just something about it. And I love how they totally predicted deep fakes.
A lot of good suggestions here.
Evan, can you tell us your puzzle?
Oh, sure. Yes, I will reveal the puzzle. Now, there were plenty of correct answers once I revealed the hint. I'll go back to the hint and give it to you guys, okay? The hint is perspective.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So when you think about perspective and this, you have to think about from which direction you're kind of looking at events. So if you take a bird's eye view, perhaps, of what's going on here,
then
maybe
Snowman?
That'll help. No, not a snowman. It's considered a classic puzzle, although I had never heard of this, but it's because I'm not in the field. Let me get up my notes on this. The name of this puzzle is called.
Show it again.
Yeah. Oh, did I? Yeah, sorry, I meant to bring it
Yep,
back.
yep.
That'll do it. The name of the puzzle, A Mexican Frying an Egg, is the name of this puzzle.
Oh my God.
It is used as a tool in TEFL, teaching English as a foreign language. Primarily used by people who need to use English for work or for leisure without living in the country where the language is spoken. Now, this particular puzzle teaches them about, I'm sorry, let me go back to it again. This particular puzzle teaches people about relative clauses. For example, what they're saying here is that a Mexican who is frying an egg, and they're teaching them what the phrase "who is." So that's the relative clause to the noun that precedes it.
Right.
So it's to help people teach and understand the concepts of who, that, which, those, where, and when in the English language. So this is, and again, I had never seen this before, but I'd never had to learn, it's a different perspective for me. This is, I grew up being taught English, obviously.
Yeah.
So I never had to go through that particular kind of process, but apparently this is the most famous of those particular puzzles. There are several of them to look at and that they use in these classes, but that is what this is. And okay, so a couple of people are commenting about, is it teaching racist stereotypes and stuff? Well, I mean, I suppose
You could say it's a person wearing a
that.
sombrero frying an egg.
Yeah.
Right. Or the other suggestion is they also say sometimes it's a cowboy frying an egg.
Or a sun hat. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
it
think
could be a
when
sun hat. Yeah.
when the puzzle was conceived, I
In
don't think
1950?
they didn't right, whenever, they had malice in mind or anything like that, because they're teaching people who apparently, speak Spanish among other languages about, this particular diagram. But apparently it's a famous puzzle, and there were plenty of people who did get it correct. So they had obviously seen it at some point during their language learning earlier in life. Congratulations to you all.
Well, thank you. Sir.
That's a really thin handle on that frying pan.
That's
though.
one comment I have. Yeah, it is pretty thin.
It bothers me. That frying pan wasn't engineered properly, Evan.
Or
I think it's thick, the long way down. So
Right.
It's
Oh,
a
of
vertical
course.
handle.
Yes.
Yeah.
right. So instead of this, it's
I've
it's
I've
like
seen
that.
those.
So it's very thick this
or
direction.
maybe it's made out of predator metal.
hmm
Yeah,
Wouldn't it
or
just
Be-
slice through your
Beskar.
hand then?
Remember that metal?
Beskar.
So it is a quarter of. We could start the quiz and take some questions after.
Sure.
Ian, you want to start spinning?
Sure.
that,
Yeah,
brother?
let me send that link out. Of course, it's like it is each week when we do it, is darkenergy.games. Here is the
Energy.
link. Darkenergy.games. Didn't seem to post. A couple people in the chat were wondering if y'all had seen the robots dancing.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
That's
I watched it
amazing.
yesterday.
For some reason, a lot of people sent me that. I can't imagine why, but I loved it. I think it could have been. I think it was a little long. I could have edited it down a little bit. It just kept going and going, but it was fantastic. Especially the little big dog four
Yeah.
quadruped doing those little tight little moves. I don't even know what you call it. They were so all good.
Here
Loved
it
it.
is, in case anybody didn't see it.
Yeah. I mean,
Was
they
it a
pretty
co-
much got the robots walking down, when you think about it.
Oh yeah, it's
And was it a composition of multiple images overlapped with each other? I kind of got the feeling that those robots were not in the same shot.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so.
Could have been. A little jerky, but
I mean,
It
the
is-
robots
it is-
dance better than a lot of people I know.
Yeah,
yeah. Took the words out of my mouth. Some of the moves are like quite good.
It feels like they motion captured.
It did have that feel to it.
Sure. I mean, I would
But-
think that would be the easiest way to do it.
Has anyone revealed exactly how this was done, or if it was just? I mean,
I haven't read the details, but I know that they will use. I don't know if Boston Dynamics is using it, but other people will use some type of motion capture to help, stylize it. But who knows what they did? I don't know how they programmed their robots.
Yeah.
Yes.
Again, it seemed to me like each robot was captured individually, and then they were brought in a final edit to dance together. That's just how it felt to me. That I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for when robots can do stuff, and it's coming fast, that no human can do, like just some crazy 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 agility. I mean, how much time? I mean, they could develop one right now that could do stuff that no human could do, but I mean real agility that just like
Yeah, off the hook.
just mind numbing.
Ian, did you send us the SGU link for the quiz?
Oh yeah, let me grab that. Sorry. So again, darkenergy.games, everybody, go ahead and go there. And there's also a YouTube video, so you can watch it there. Let me see. I'll send out the link one more time for everybody in chat. Here's a question. Will we find out about the recipe during the 12-hour show soon? I guess
Yes.
the meatball recipe.
Oh yeah.
Or other recipes.
Yeah, so we will. I already talked to George, and he's going to get me the recipe. Probably over the next couple of days. So early next week, we'll put it up on the website. We'll give you, we'll make a page for the event, and we'll put up everything that we have at the time. But yeah, the recipes are mine's done, and George's is done. I just have to type it in, and Ian has to put it up there.
Yeah. Another question for Steve specifically. It says, have you read The Genius of Birds, and when do you get to use your skeptical toolbox while birding?
I have not read The Genius of Birds. The birders I have found are very skeptical because they're sort of in the business of testing claims all the time, and specifically about like, what bird did you see? And so they have a pretty decent system of evidence in terms of, well, how do you know you saw the bird you thought you saw? What is the quality of the evidence? How predictive is the evidence? And what's the prior probability? They use all of those tools in determining that. Whether they probably don't know it by name, like they wouldn't be able to identify the logic that they're using. They just sort of learn it culturally. So, like, for example, in my discussions, I said, I thought I saw a Steller's jay, and this is why I thought I saw one. And they responded, you probably didn't, because they're West Coast birds, and while accidentals happen, the probability is really low, something to that effect. Or and then, of course, about 10 years ago or so, there was
the woodpecker.
The ivory-billed woodpecker story was coming around, and so there was a huge discussion within the birding community about whether or not the data that we had, those blurry images, was an ivory-billed woodpecker or a pileated woodpecker, which is not extinct. The ivory-billed almost certainly is extinct. And so there's lots of arguments like, well, where do they nest? And is it possible that they lived for this long without being spotted? And are those images definitive? Can you tell me for sure that it's not a pileated? And if so, then you apply Occam's razor, So it's actually a lot more skeptical than you might think at first blush. And I was surprised at how much of the Bigfoot kind of logic birders use, just implicitly without necessarily knowing that that's what they're doing.
Bird is a word.
All right, let's see if we can do the synchronized. I think there's probably enough people in there now. It's just under 400. Here we go. When I count down and say click, everybody hit the synchronize button. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, click. Okay, that's synchronizing.
Yes.
While that's happening, we also got a recommendation / question, I guess. Have you seen the Kiwami Japan YouTube channel? He's the guy who makes kitchen knives out of super random material.
No.
That's a recommendation from Fox.
Okay, cool.
How do you spell that?
Kiwami.
So that's the idea being anything can become a blade.
I think so. Kiwami Japan.
Right, or
YouTube.
Jay,
Styrofoam.
See my robot dog, Jay?
And one out of gelatin.
No, where is it?
Look at me.
Where is it? Behind the dog.
Wow, that's really cool, Bob.
It's like a Terminator. It's meant to be like a Terminator dog. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorites. The detail on this is just staggering.
Is it plastic or metal?
Plastic.
After the quiz, I'll show you a gift I got for the holidays.
Cool.
A couple people are getting close to some bingos or some Wolfies, really.
Wolfie.
Wolfie. No mentions of that. No mentions of that. Okay. All right. All right. It seems like people
All
are
right.
getting their numbers in, the latency numbers in. So
We're so predictable. We're a
good.
bingo card.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, over 800 episodes, it's hard not to be a little predictable.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, it's like when you've been married for 30 years, you're a little predictable. Yeah,
All right.
you guys know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna move on.
Good to
So
keep things fresh.
the first question
Well,
is:
you got to switch it up.
McDonald's once made a build-your-own burger counter, gyros or euros with tofu, a 0-calorie dessert. I think that is supposed to be, and bubblegum flavored broccoli.
A 0-calorie desert?
Well,
That's my typo. I'm sorry.
I guess it's sand 0 calories. Could be.
It's a toughie.
Wait a couple seconds before you say what it is.
Okay.
Bubblegum flavored broccoli.
Well, that was a second or two.
Yes, it was definitely
I'm sorry, I said that
2
in shock.
seconds.
What?
That's what the internet says.
Did you
And-
source that, Jay?
Did they make it for consumption, or is it just like a
I'm assuming that they deployed it somewhere,
Japan?
test it out.
Get kids to eat their broccoli.
This is so nasty though. Ugh.
I like
All right.
broccoli just fine. Thank you.
Next one is Scotland has how many words for snow? 1, 2, 94, 421.
You know, you never know, Steve.
For the word snow?
That's probably like the Eskimo thing that we grew up thinking. Like they have different types of snow, so there's different words to fit different conditions, I guess.
Yeah.
If that's what the reality is.
421.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Wait, don't say it.
Nailed it, right, Bob?
So
Don't say it so early.
Yeah.
You gotta wait a
So
little.
I didn't give anything away, did I?
No, but Steve, this is the second time in a row Steve says it as soon as it comes up.
Oh, okay. Good show, Steve.
I read a couple of different websites, and there was one that said over 400, and this one of them said specifically 421. If you're from Scotland and you can confirm or deny that, please do it.
Now, Jay, I remember reading years ago.
We're already on to the next question.
All right. I heard ice has a lot of names, not so much snow, but ice
Okay.
does for other cultures.
Kleenex tissues were originally intended for diapers, gas masks, a cloth for clogging wounds, or pillow stuffing.
Gas masks. So the company, they were like filters for the
Wait.
gas masks.
Wait, wow. You said
Hey,
that
now
you
you said it early. Don't say it.
It's so hard. I mean,
I'll say it.
literally, it's like, how stupid can they possibly get? Yeah. So what happened was after they invented them and they were used for their primary use, the company was like, you know what we could use these for? And they just pivoted right into, tissues. Go ahead, Ian.
Oh, it's still counting down for me, so it's weird. I'm delayed too.
Okay.
Anyway, so talk amongst yourself. Give me 3 seconds.
Hi.
3,
Hello.
2, 1. Okay. The current American flag was designed by a high school student, Betsy Ross, a French doctor, I believe that is, or not a French drive, right? And no one knows.
Hey, I got it right.
What,
And
you know already?
Hold on.
I didn't say anything. I
Answer
more
period
seconds.
closing in 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
A few more seconds.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. A high school student.
Yeah.
I thought the answer
Wow.
was nobody knows.
No, it was a high school.
It says Heft designed the current United States flag as a school project in Lancaster, Ohio. When he was 17 years old, he got a B- for his project by his teacher Stanley Pratt.
Oh, the current. You mean like the current version of it, not?
With 50
Yes,
stars.
Not the origin.
Oh,
of
okay.
it, the
I
current
was
version.
interpreting that as like just the
Yeah.
overall. Okay.
Okay, still counting down. Here comes the next one. Cows don't have
Oh,
dot dot
come
dot
on, really?
upper front teeth, lips, best friends, kidneys.
Ugh,
Evan,
what the?
Also, 3 is rude.
right?
It's so random.
I know it is. The fact is, I'll say this:
They
10
do have
seconds.
best
10
friends.
seconds.
cows absolutely, they absolutely have. Tell me when.
Best
Ian.
friends.
They have
And
best
2,
friends.
1. Okay,
They
go.
have best friends. They have lips, and they absolutely have kidneys. They don't have upper front teeth. That's why they don't smile for pictures.
Mhm.
You know.
Cows
That's
can't
why.
bite because they don't have top front teeth. They may gum you, but they can't bite you. Cattle do have molars in the upper and lower jaw, but their incisors are only in the lower jaw. That's what you wrote.
So let me know what you
Wow.
guys thought about this version of. I was using a different kind of test. Typically, I do mostly science questions, but I thought these were fun because there is a little bit of science woven into those. You know what I mean? Like, would you have ever known or cared to know about cows not having upper front teeth?
Yeah, didn't know.
Nope.
You see, you learn something.
Nope.
You learn.
Stop the
I would have
game.
learned that at Bovine University, though.
That's right.
Mhm.
Moo.
Moo.
Sound a dog makes.
Someone got 100%.
All right, man.
Wow, nice.
That is. Ah.
Hungry, you got it, man. All right, let's see what Scotland said about. Let me see if the guy from Scotland got the Scotland question. Is there somebody from Scotland here?
Doesn't look like it.
Wow, no representation. What?
I did about as well as.
Wow, the United Kingdom did really poorly with 42 people, 19%.
Well, that's because of Brexit, man.
Yeah, must be.
Everybody's all fucked up over Brexit over there. All right. Well, if you like the quiz, yeah, if you liked it, let me know. I'm trying to make it more fun for you guys. Somebody, Lee Marsh says 421 words is bullshit.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't believe that either.
All right. Well,
Nor do I. So I'll take
did,
that as a
I
win.
did go to multiple websites. It doesn't
Doesn't
mean I'm
matter.
I know, but how much time do you expect me to spend on these quizzes? You know what I mean? Like, let's get real about it.
Well, let's level with everybody. You did it in the 10 minutes before we started streaming.
Yeah, I had to hurry up. It's not, I am on vacation after all. Okay.
Happy New Year.
Jay, look what I
Yes.
got myself for Christmas.
Oh, and I'll show you what I
Another
got
one,
for I got for the
Oh,
holidays.
nice.
Made of metal,
What?
posable,
Poser.
and
The heck? Oh my God, Bob!
Got
where'd you
a
get it?
brain,
Where'd you
got
get
a
it?
brain.
Intact. Wow.
I don't
Where'd
know,
you get that?
some company with the name Samurai in the name. But I'm thinking about returning it.
Why, the brain's not big enough?
I mean, it wasn't cheap, and it doesn't. The tolerances aren't great. I can't make him stand. It's very hard to make him stand. So he's not balanced. The legs aren't balanced, and I was stupidly expecting him to be as posable, almost like a one of the stop motion
Yeah.
figures. But his arms, they do this, but they don't go out. I mean, they didn't put the right joint in the shoulder to make it really
Oh, yeah,
posable.
okay.
And the spine and head, his head doesn't move, and his jaw stays open.
He has arthritis.
So
And lockjaw.
it just
So
my
the
hopes
opposite
were
of lockjaw.
my expectations
Blackjaw.
were a little bit too high.
Slackjaw.
But it's still very, very cool.
Bob, put his head up to the screen and try to follow along with me. Ready?
Okay.
Put your finger underneath his jaw.
You're gonna
All right.
Shut his mouth. Shut his mouth. Ready?
Yep.
La 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 la.
When you don't have a dog to do that with, just grab your skeleton.
Have a
and do that.
skeleton. Yeah, it'll never get old.
All right, here's one of my gifts for Christmas. So
Oh, great! What brand is that?
It's a stopwatch. We'll check. Hang on, I'll try to get closer. Maybe it'll focus in. See where it's made? Made in.
Yes, I can't read it though. Made in four letters.
Try to get closer.
It doesn't focus that close.
Come on, focus.
Made in
USSR.
Wow, cool.
Whoa,
Isn't that cool?
nice.
It's a
Union of Soviet Socialist
I know.
Republic.
Cool. Finding old cool stuff from the Soviet Union that you can still buy. Comes with the instruction book pamphlet paper.
Is it in English or is it Russian?
No, it's in Russian. It is in Russian.
Now, aren't you worried that has like a spying device in it?
See that? No, well, not at all. There's no KGB anymore to listen to what the hell I have to say. So there is 1983, according to this.
I think the letters in Russian look so cool.
I'd like to.
Their
learn
alphabet
Russian
is
someday.
cool looking. You know,
Doesn't Jocelyn speak Russian or no Russian?
Yeah, she took it in college. She went to Russia in the 80s. I think she has a pin from the Olympics that we boycotted.
Yeah, the summer of 80.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That might be worth something.
All right, should we take questions?
Yeah, of course. Yep.
Also, it looks like one
Cyrillic.
person may have gotten the bingo or Wolfie, although I doubt it. So let's go through it real quick. So it says Jay expressing his love for the group. That's probably true. References to Jay's meatballs, also accurate. Someone calls Evan Adam Savage. That's the free space. So I think that just counts. Bob not talking into the microphone. It's kind of a given.
What are you talking about? Really?
You did.
This one-
You yelled at Liz off.
That's
camera
true.
at some point.
This one I is dubious. Steve asks a yes or no question, but the answer is it's complicated. I don't think you said that. So
I don't think so.
I don't
think so.
remember,
I don't remember that.
expressing love for the group in this yet. Did I?
all right, so no love for the group. So whoever that is failed.
He hates us.
Let's move on to questions. Okay. All of the vaccines coming out seem to have different levels of effectiveness and advantages. Shouldn't the world just pick the best one and have everyone manufacture that one?
No. And the reason is because you have to gear up your manufacturing. You know, like Moderna produces an mRNA vaccine. They don't produce a viral vaccine. So you can't just retool to produce a completely different type of vaccine. So it's good that we're having multiple different companies producing vaccines using different infrastructure, you know, because then it's additive. There may be some times when you could do it, like if different companies have different viral, say, you know, similar technology where they could just turn over their manufacturing infrastructure to the other vaccine that is superior. And I wouldn't be surprised if that does happen, you know, just license the vaccine rather than, especially if there's a significant difference in effectiveness. If it's the difference between like 90% and 95%, you know, is it really worth, you know, retooling and delaying it getting out? But if it's like one vaccine is 60%, another vaccine is 90%, well, screw the 60% vaccine, you know, start producing the 90% one. But we're still going to need to produce different vaccines just to maximize the manufacturing.
Okay.
Next question is, are vaccine effectiveness rates overstated because study participants were still acting as if they were in a pandemic, i.e. masking, social distancing, etc.?
No, because it's relative, right? So if you had two different groups, those who got the real vaccine, those who got a placebo vaccine, and they were properly randomized, right? So and blind and all that stuff, the two groups should be the same. So presumably whatever was happening with one group is happening with the other group, including whatever precautions they were otherwise taking. So the 90%, what they say was 95% or 90% effective, that means that in the treatment group, there were 95% fewer cases of COVID than in the placebo group. That's exactly what that means. And so it doesn't matter that they were also taking precautions.
Okay, next one is, what are your favorite indigenous musical instruments?
Oh, without a doubt.
Jay's the didge.
Yeah, didgeridoo. Without a doubt.
I like my didge, but not as much as I haven't played as much as Jay has. But what would be another one? What would be a good indigenous musical instrument? I mean, I'm into percussion. I like any kind of drum. I like that that round drum you hold where it has the stick with the two heads on it, and you play it. You like it's a round drum, and the stick has two heads, one above and one below, where you hold it, and so you could play it like that. I forget what it's called. You know what I'm talking about? You ever seen that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, with the stick in it?
No, you have one drumstick, but it has two heads
Oh, that
at
one.
either
Oh, yeah.
end. Yeah, so you could play
heads.
it back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite's a
Yours as well.
Vulcan lyre.
Yeah.
That was
I thought
cool.
Vulcans didn't lie.
Yeah. Liar,
I like the
can't
pan
lie.
flute. My Zemfir collection is
Yeah.
complete.
Remember that Zamfir?
Zemfir. Well, I haven't heard about him in a long time. Where's
Yeah.
he been?
He's going to come out of retirement, make another album.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't he? You know, they're still
Plays-
talking about Bob Ross and things.
Zamfir plays the classics.
Yeah, like Nirvana. Smells like
Do a
Teen
Muzak version of all the grunge music in the 90s.
All right,
Oh, I would so buy that.
give us another one, Ian.
I mean, this is just like a did you see? But did you see there was a pharmacist who destroyed 57
500.
vials or 500 doses intentionally of the
Yeah.
vaccine?
I did not
Why?
see that. Why did he do it?
It's these anti.
They don't know, but they think that it's anti-vaxxer or something like that.
Wow.
Intentionally made them.
Pharmacist, huh?
Yeah, it says intentionally rendered the vaccine useless to give
Left
it
them out
to
of the
people so
fridge.
that they wouldn't be vaccinated.
So are these vaccines?
Damn.
Do these vaccines come with some sort of governmental protection? In other words, if you deliberately do things like that, it's a crime.
It is a
I would
crime.
assume so.
The guy, they're going to prosecute that guy. You can't do that. That's first off, they weren't his to destroy.
Oh, well,
And-
that's okay. So destruction.
But
of
he
property,
intended
yeah.
on giving them to patients
Yes.
so that they would not be protected to prove that vaccines don't work. I mean, is that like
That's they don't have the full story, but yes, that's
Yeah.
apparently.
I
part
mean,
of it.
this guy's gonna
Someone's saying
lose,
he was arrested.
is he going to lose
so-
his license?
you should? Yeah,
Right?
probably.
Yeah,
will.
that's
Yeah.
it's about as bad as it could get, maybe in that field. I don't know, or without outright tampering and trying to kill people.
People
Wow.
are kooky. Next question.
Next question. It says, Steve, is Bill Gates tracking your position right now?
Yeah, well, my phone's on. Yeah, it's Bill Gates. I mean,
I don't
you
think
know,
Bill Gates
I
gives
always
a
find-
shit where Steve is
yeah, right. Like,
now.
why would? So, I mean, I guess it's not that if you want to take the question seriously, even though it wasn't intended to be seriously, is something that Bill Gates is connected to farming data, right? Not like he's listening to me specifically, but is he farming data from the public without their knowledge in some way? And that's plausible that companies are gaining data from your smartphone.
Yeah, Bill Gates and
And
1,000 other CEOs.
Yeah,
probably.
right. They're harvesting data. Sure. I think that's why we need regulations to make sure that you don't get your data is yours and doesn't get harvested without your express consent. But the thing is, I click those buttons without reading the fine print on those huge, the ELU, what are they called? ULAs?
EULA, end user license agreement.
Yeah,
EULA.
whatever. Right? I mean, do you guys ever read pages of
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
before
Ever.
clicking a thing? I think
They,
and they're
they
saying,
should make it a law that like they have a bullet notes on top. Here's the big important 10 takeaways.
yeah,
Just a,
or
so
like
who did-
you specifically as a separate click, do you agree to have your data sent to the company, like in plain English, like what is going to happen? It can't be buried.
Not buried in legalese.
Yeah,
I hate that.
yeah.
Yeah, treat it like a nutrition label on food packaging now, in which you
So
can
it's pointless.
actually-
You're consenting
get
to
what
something
you're
nobody reads because it's really impractical, and
Yep.
it should
Bullshit.
that in and of itself should be illegal.
South Park had a rather disgusting episode
Yeah.
about that very topic, and
Yeah.
you should go look at it
The
if you
human
want to be grossed
centipede?
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody said, you guys reading anything good lately? Liz and I started listening to Mount Fitzroy by Scott Sigler, and I'm just so addicted. This is a sequel to a book he wrote in like I think 2005. So it's been like 15 years it took to get the sequel out, and it's wonderful, narrated by Ray Porter, who was a god of book narration. So that's what I'm reading. I'm loving it.
Harry Potter.
I'm reading
Totally
Dune
addicted.
again in
Harry
preparation
Potter.
for the series to come out.
Yes, Dune,
Very, very
Which-
good.
Oh, really?
which is coming when? Next fall?
This year sometime. Yeah.
Later in the year, probably.
We got Dune coming out. We got the thing I'm actually most excited about is Foundation series by Asimov.
Yeah. What's the latest on that? I haven't looked it up in a while.
Is that going to be on Amazon Prime? Is that where that's going to land?
I think it's HBO, right? Isn't that?
Oh,
HBO?
is it?
No, I thought it was. You mean Foundation or Dune?
Foundation.
I thought that was like Apple TV or something.
Oh, maybe.
Hey, Evan,
Yeah.
I've been doing some light reading.
Let's see. Wait. What does it say?
It's Macbeth.
Oh, gosh.
Oh my God, nice,
It
Jay.
is, look,
I mean,
just
Yeah,
a
Apple
little-
TV
The
Plus.
Pocket Macbeth.
It's for Foundations for Apple TV Plus.
Apple TV. Oh,
whatever it takes, I will have
TV.
to subscribe or buy whatever I need to watch that.
That's, how
That's
they
the
get you.
idea. I know.
Yeah, they got me.
June 22nd, 2020, as part of the rules, blah blah blah.
I'm busy that day.
It says it will premiere in 2021. That's it.
Yeah. So
2021.
floating date.
So I will read those books before that comes out.
Yeah, or after. I like reading books after I watch it because the book fleshes out the movie, but
Yeah.
right, the
I know
movie doesn't
exactly what you
ruin
mean.
the book. The book can ruin the movie
You're
because
right.
then you have your own picture in your head about the characters, and you're gonna complain about all the compromises they had to make to squeeze the story into a play, into a screenplay.
That's how I felt about
But if you go the
SGU
other
book.
way, like you watch the movie, you enjoy that, then you read the book and you get like a much richer story. It's kind of more enjoyable.
Yeah, but sometimes when the book comes out, you don't want to wait the year or 2 or 3 for the movie. Like it's there. That's how I was
Yeah.
with Potter. That I mean I was actually at the library at midnight with all the really young geeks wearing Harry Potter costumes, which I didn't wear.
Yeah.
I would never do that.
I mean,
And
Potter was the exception for some reason.
Yeah, I would get a book. I would get for an audio book for me, which is in CDs, which is kind of so ridiculous.
CDs.
Adams, I would buy Adams. You know, it's like what? And then, but then I'd buy other books, and I'd hand off the book to my mom. You know, my ex mother-in-law, my ex-wife, a lot of exes. So they'd all have it the next day. I was there at midnight. That was fun.
Yeah.
Any other ones?
Questions? Yeah. So, is there a chance these vaccines will protect against other coronaviruses?
Sometimes there's overlap, but these vaccines, from what I understand, they're really targeted against the spike proteins, and that's the feature that gives the coronavirus its defining feature as a family. I think it's a family of viruses. So it's possible,
Right.
but it's never going to be as good as when it's like the flu vaccine, right? The flu vaccine is 30-40% effective when it's not properly targeted against the right flu variant. So it might have that same thing where, it might have 10, 20, 30% effectiveness against other coronaviruses, but not the 90. It's not going to be the 95% like for the current strain of the COVID-19 virus.
I think somebody's fishing for a Wolfie thing. What's the origin of pendantic?
What's the
Pedantic.
origin of pedantic?
And then,
Jay said it by accident once, and we never let him forget it.
yeah, instead of pedantic, it's pendantic. So
Which is
now it's hard. If I had to say that word spontaneously without thinking about it,
you might
I think I would
say
say
a 50-50
pedantic,
chance
so
you're going to say
thank you, Jay.
pedantic. Not pedantic.
contaminated
Sorry,
forever.
I'm so sorry that my bad memory of how to spell and pronounce words and basically speak normally is rubbing off.
Do
on you.
not apologize.
It's all right.
Given us countless hours of hilarity and fun.
Every once in a while, I do that thing where like a word all of a sudden doesn't feel like it means anything.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
Oh, yeah,
it's such a
that's-
weird experience.
it
Like,
is.
what? That like the one that everybody says every once in a while. I read this, like people always say like the word orange because it is kind of a weird word. But I do remember that happening to me where like, I don't know what happens in your brain. What do you think is going on in your brain, Steve, when you lose that perspective on a word?
I
Yeah,
don't
Bob.
know. That's
It's weird.
interesting.
It is interesting.
Like moist. Say moist 10 times in your head.
Moist.
Moist.
Semantic
Little Yiddish flair to it.
So combining two questions, what is the latest news on any in-person events in 2021, and what are you looking forward to in 2021?
Yeah. All right. Well, I could talk on that. So we talked with our touring company. I think I said something along these lines before, but we're trying to get the Extravaganza tour back on its feet this fall. So unfortunately, it's looking almost 100% certain that the current Denver show that we have scheduled in May is going to have to be delayed again because of the pandemic. So right now, I if I'm remembering correctly, we've only given out how many million vaccines have been given out at this point? We're supposed to be at 20 million, I think.
And we're like at 2 or something.
Yeah, it's really not going out as fast as people initially thought, and it's all because of people that have the power to organize these things are not doing a good job. So who knows? Like we think that it's possible that the fall we could get back on the road, but very unlikely. We have decided 100% that we have to have Nexus again be a remote.
Yeah, it's going to be virtual.
Live stream.
Yeah.
So that's fine. I'm totally, we're ready for it this time. We know exactly what we're doing. The studio is 100%.
Because you think large mass indoor close together events are going to be the last thing to come back.
Yeah.
The absolute last thing. So it's just not going to happen until this is really over. So yeah, so Nexus is going to be virtual in July or August. It's going to be the first weekend in August. Don't quote me on that. I don't know that we've totally locked
Pretty
that
sure
in
it's
yet.
the first weekend in August, but
that's a sort of the date, but we'll make it official soon. Actually, this month we'll make it official. And then as soon as we can start booking the Extravaganza, we're going to do that. When we can open up, when we could actually start having events, we're probably going to go crazy with events. We would love to do another version of the No Show at some point. Because we definitely have a lot of pent up, I think, both desire and demand to do it.
Yeah, we have the Star Trek Museum event that I'm not going to let go. So what we're doing is we're going to book things for the fall because venues are happy to book, but with the clause in there that pending the pandemic. Yeah, it depends. So we're just trying to reserve a few things for the fall just so we could get back on the road if everything goes right. But it's looking like 2022, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Someone said Nexus should always have a virtual component to expand the audience. Honestly, I think Nexus is going to just go completely virtual, digital, from this point forward. And we'll do other things live. Mm-hmm. But I think Nexus is going to be digital from here on, with pandemic or no, just because it's better.
Yeah.
In my opinion, and since I'm the guy who runs it, that holds a lot of weight.
That opinion counts.
Right, but don't ever underestimate my ability to get underneath Steve's skin.
Yeah.
Because I've argued and whined my way into many things with Steve. So, but I mean,
so Steve, Jay just decides what he wants to have happen, and that's what happens, no matter what else. And all the discussion that happens is irrelevant because Jay just does what he wants to do. Depending on how big it is, like with the studio, like he'll ask me a question: should we do this? And then so we have a conversation about it. I always bring up other options. What's the cost effectiveness, whatever. And then 2 weeks later, Jay's like, I did this. I just did it.
It's not that bad.
Proceed with caution. Proceed with what now?
Steve, I can't function without you. Your ability to suss through things. But sometimes, like I could see that you're not seeing it the way that I am, and I have to go with my gut. And it's a balance. We strike a balance. Steve keeps me from like doing things that are mostly fun and not
good useful.
Yeah, right. Like I every once in a while I'll just be like, I want to buy another camera. Steve's like, what? No, we're not buying another camera. And I'm like, you're right. Whatever. You always got to have somebody checking up on you.
Okay,
Evan, what?
Oh, God. I was going to say 5-second question. What's your favorite sci-fi weapon? 5 seconds.
I mean, lightsaber is the sexiest sci-fi weapon out there. It's not the most practical, but who cares?
Han Solo's DL-44. That's my favorite. My favorite.
What was that? The Vergon T Disruptor, Bob? Do you remember that from Star Trek?
Yeah, the one that like really hurts.
Yeah,
You die.
it's like universally outlawed. It's considered so bad
painful?
that no, not even the Klingons or the Romulans will allow it to exist.
That came to mind. It was on the episode where Data
Data's,
was
stolen.
kidnapped, and then
that's a good episode.
for like a collector guy has all one of a kind. Great episode.
Very good episode.
I can't answer that question.
There's something. Yeah, I mean, the lightsabers are epic. They're amazing. But there is something about that
The most toys.
movie for Han Solo blaster that is so. I just love the story behind it. I love the look of it. I love the sound that it makes. I love the story of it in Star Wars itself. The backstory of his weapon is pretty cool because he modified it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not factory spec. He did something to it. So
Logon poetry.
Mando's weapon. I really like Mando's disintegration
rifle.
gun. And the gun is cool because it does different things.
Pops you.
The gun can electrify something. It's a good weapon to fight with, like just hand-to-hand type of fighting, like a melee weapon.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, if I can get my hands on a really high-end replica of that without destroying my bank account, I would do it. That thing is awesome.
I like the weapons that were part of the Iron Man when he gets pissed.
Yeah.
His weapons were really cool looking, really cool looking and devastating. But I would have to think about this for a couple hours. The total perspective vortex, that's a great weapon.
Much for 5 seconds.
Such a hilarious weapon.
Somebody said the Glaven from Crow.
The glaive. Crow
Crow
with the throwing axe.
I think the Bene Gesserit actually had the best weapon.
The Gom Jabor?
No. They would
they
would have such awesome sex with you that they would enslave you.
Yeah.
Good way to go.
That's powerful.
You're gonna go.
Very
there
powerful.
You go.
That's awesome.
That's scary. That's scary. Imagine that. Imagine like something gives you so much pleasure that isn't like heroin or whatever. Like it's such intense pleasure that you just become maddened by it.
No, that was a weapon in oh my god. It was I'm forgetting all the details, but basically this weapon stimulated your pleasure center in your brain to such a degree that if you're
incapacitated.
If you use it once, you are a slave.
Oh yeah, you're right. It was the Honored Modders. Well, the Honored Modders did it. They were the splinter group of the Bene Gesserit who.
No. I'm talking.
I'm talking about what I was talking about.
I'm talking what I'm talking about. Okay, never mind.
What's a snoo?
sex slave.
That's Futurama.
Well, the TASP. TASP.
That's a Futurama joke and a very good one.
Yeah. All right, one more question.
Yes, it's sex.
Okay.
Sex
one more
with a
question.
15-foot Amazon woman.
These are somewhat quick.
That's awesome.
So this one, especially for Evan, do any of the rogues have a recommendation for favorite board games?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, favorite board games?
Yeah, I can think of a few.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Boy, you go crazy with that question. I'll throw Terraforming Mars out there because it's a really good all around. If you like science, if you like kind of science fiction at the same time, it kind of blends the two together, but it has all the good mechanics of like a worker placement and a resource management kind of game that you can get into and has a lot of replayability, and it's very popular. Terraforming Mars, I'll say that.
I love Kingmaker. It takes time though. Like you need a few hours. Or you need to be able to come and go, leave the game and go back to it. You're not going to play through it in one sitting. Is the only downside to it. But in terms of the balance of strategy and randomness and making alliances and everything, it's really, really good game. Very fun.
Here's a fun game I play with Liz. It's a zombie game.
Love games.
So the board is a graveyard, and you actually have little zombies that you wind up, and they just walk or lurch randomly across the board. And if they get to the destination where you need to go, then you win. So that's a fun game. What did we play last night?
That's called
The Haunted
Betrayal at House on the Hill.
That was fun. Exploding cats or kittens.
Exploding kittens. Yeah.
That's more of a card game and not a board game, no.
Oh, that's true. It's the walking zombies.
Yeah, the Betrayal at House on the Hill is great because of the variability of the game. Like, you know, you could play up to 6 people. Everybody gets a different character. And then there's cards that you put down on the table that build the haunted house map. So that's random.
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever thing that's in the house, that's, you know, whatever's haunting the house, there's like 40 different things that could be doing it. So there's super variability to the game, which I think is fantastic.
Evan, what was that game that Perry liked? It was like the Vortex or something. Remember that? We were playing that for a while.
Oh, it was
It's like a really
Talisman.
elaborate board. Talisman.
Talisman. Boy, yeah, Talisman, back from the original version from the 80s, but it's since had re-releases.
Yeah, that was an elaborate game. It was fun though.
It was an elaborate game. Yeah, it was. It had some of the mechanisms were a little broken, especially with some of those original expansion packs. They had some characters you could play and had powers that were too powerful, among other things. But again, it has been re-released, I think, several times. Oh, and while I'm here, while we were on our trip to England, somebody there was so kind and gave me a copy of the new Talisman. And I thanked them profusely at the time, and I forgot to write down their name. So if by chance you're watching this and you did send that to me, send me a note so it can be reminded as to who exactly gave me that game, because I want to thank you again for that. And again, it was one of Perry's favorite games, so it definitely harkened back to the Perry days. Oh, and someone asked me.
I recently played the expanded version of Clue. It was really fun. Clue is a great game, just you know, good childhood game, but it was the expanded one. Was good because they didn't break the game and go crazy and change the fundamental nature of the game. They just expanded it a little bit. It was good.
Yeah.
Is that brand new, Steve, or is that something you just happened to find recently?
I don't know how new it is. We found it recently and bought it, but I don't know that it's new this year.
And someone asked me about the new game Dune Imperium, which we did recently play, and we will be reviewing on our next episode coming out next week of Which Game First. And it was very good. We all liked it a lot. One of the best games we actually played this year. And yes, it's based on the characters and factions of the classic series. But at the same time, it's also co-produced by Legendary Pictures, which is the production company behind the movie. And so the collaboration of very high quality components, the game plays really well. It was really well play tested. So Dune Imperium, very good board game.
Cool.
Jay, what's happening January 23rd?
So on the 23rd, we will be having a live stream starting at 11 a.m. Eastern time and going until, of course, 11 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be having George Robb joining us for the entire thing. We have 5 interviews set up. Each of them different, and they're not really interviews. It's more of like somebody's going to join us and we're going to do something fun with them or just have some type of interesting thing happen during those times. We're also going to be doing some cooking. We're going to be playing games. There's going to be audience involvement, and we are also going to be giving away the AQ6 double-handed phaser rifle, the T3. So one lucky person is going to win that, and they will be given it in some way during that show. But it's going to be 12 hours of streaming. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to go off the rails many times, do some stuff. I really want to involve the patrons, so we're going to be putting up a page soon to allow patrons to submit pictures and other stuff that we're coming up with. So please join us. It's going to be January 23rd. That's a Saturday. And that's going to be 11 a.m. to 11 p.m.
11 Z's.
11 Z's.
Eastern time.
Steve, if somebody wanted to support the SGU, how would they do that?
I don't know. We should probably come up with some way to do that, don't you think, guys?
Good idea. Okay.
Guys, yeah. Patreon. Don't forget about Patreon for crying out loud.
I asked Steve.
Yes, Patreon is our preferred method for supporting the SGU financially. It really does, help us do everything that we do. Jay would literally not have a job.
That's right.
without our patrons. And of course we wouldn't be able to, have Ian do all the stuff that he does. So we're also getting close. That's why we're doing the 12-hour show, because of our patrons. We're getting close to a 24-hour show. So if you want to make that happen,
groaning all the way in California.
Yeah, if you want to make that happen, we just need a few hundred more patrons.
Why
all that money gets put towards promoting skepticism and doing what we do.
Bob, Say nano, Bob.
Nano.
There you go.
Don't do that.
Yeah,
See, that's
no.
now we're cheating.
That's cheating.
You can go to patreon.com
that one doesn't
/skeptics
count.
guide. There's lots of levels of support if you're interested.
Yep.
Guys, have a great week. We will be back here next week.
Next week.
And then very soon, it's 3 weeks away, that 12-hour show. So put it on your calendar. Please come.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Invite your friends, invite your parents.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah, Happy New Year. And
Happy
we'll see you guys
2021.
very soon.
Happy New Year. Happy new score. Can't wait for the next time.
Someone said cancel the wedding at 10-12 hour.
That's
Skeptic's Guide to the Universe is produced by SGU Productions, dedicated to promoting science and critical thinking. For more information, visit us at theskepticsguide.org. Send your questions to info@theskepticsguide.org. And if you would like to support the show and all the work that we do, go to patreon.com/skepticsguide and consider becoming a patron and becoming part of the SGU community. Our listeners and supporters are what make SGU possible.